May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Fairley.
Here.
Councilmember Osborne.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 4, presentations. No presentations. Item 5, discussion. Axon body cameras.
Yes, good afternoon. I know I promised to do something on the court, but Axon, our contract with Axon comes due in August, and they're running a little behind, and quite frankly, we were negotiating a little bit, trying to get our best bang for our buck, because body cams are a big line item in our budget. So we hammered out a deal. That deal is in front of you. And I wanted to honor your 3-touch rule. So I asked that it be put on the agenda tonight. And then if it's okay with the council, I'd like to talk about it again at council meeting and constitute a 2nd touch, because I have to have a contract in front of them back to Axon by the end of July. If I don't, then there's going to be a gap in coverage with the camera system. And it's going to cost the city a pretty penny to cover that gap. And I was just trying to look out after the bottom line. So that's why the change in the workshop topic. As you guys know, we were one of the first agencies in the Valley 5 years ago, 2018, to go to body cams. Miss Jessica and was a key part of that. When she was over in Records, she set up a lot of this stuff. We were about a year ahead of our neighbors to the north there, Auburn, and about almost 2 whole years ahead of the city of Pacific. But what body cams have done for us, 1, create a higher level of transparency. 2, it's made life a lot better, able to train on things. We can do things like game film. We can say, hey, this was really good, and then, hey, here's some things you need to work on. So it's improving officers' performance. Second, having that interaction with the community when somebody comes in and is unhappy about something, or one of the first things I do is I pull up the body cam. We go over together with the citizen. It's reduced our complaints substantially. Just being able to go through that and walk through the body cam. And then lastly, the evidence. Evidentiary, made our cases a lot more solid. Our ability to take those statements. As you guys are well aware, there's been a lot of mandates placed on law enforcement in the last 5 years. And one of those is when you're talking to a juvenile, it has to be audio and video recorded. When you're talking to somebody in custody, it has to be audio or video recorded. So having the body cam right there makes our life so much easier, being able to push that button and have that conversation and meet those state requirements. So our original contract was for 5 years, and we got 3 sets of cameras. We just got our last installment of cameras a couple of years ago, and those come as part of the yearly cost, along with unlimited storage. So our contract ends in August, and so one of the things that we negotiated into this contract is, and we'll have some cost savings, our new cameras are going to be able to translate. They take up to 800 different languages, and there's a separate button that the officer can press. And if you pick Ukrainian, Russian, I've watched examples of all these before I go, okay. But 800 either languages or dialects, Axon's camera will now feed and translate into English for the officer, and vice versa. The officer can then press the button, talk into it in English, and it will say, it will use the proper dialect to the person. So we're now creating some more communication tools, enhancing that community relation. That is baked into this contract. So we're going to be one of the first agencies in King County to test out the new translation. I believe the city of Kent has already moved that direction, and a few others, but I'm kind of excited about that, being that our small town is very diverse. The other thing is the storage. Having that unlimited camera store, be able to store a video with Axon, not on site. The video redaction has only gotten better. We paid for, and this council allowed us early on to buy the redaction software and the algorithm. And that makes redaction really streamlined. It still takes some time, but it makes it really streamlined for 1 or 2 people to be able to redact video in a timely manner that meets the state requirements. So if you look, this is a 10-year deal. We're going to save an average of $2,592.47 by extending a contract out from 5 years to 10 years. We're going to get 5 sets of cameras, and that includes the software, that includes the docking station, that includes all software updates for the redaction and unlimited storage, as well as the translation. The translation piece, if it works, we're going to be able to cut out the language line. Costs us about $400 a month to be part of the language line, and then whatever we use on top of it, minute-wise. So we're going to be able to make a little cost savings there. Is it going to be astronomical? Absolutely not. But if you look at the memo I did, I broke down the cost per year. In the cost saving is there. The total cost savings of the term of the contract is $26,140.74. As I stated in my memo, renewing our contract with Axon will induce several advanced features, significantly enhancing our capabilities. Notably, the body-worn camera system will include translation technology and recognizes over 800 languages. The feature will enable officers to communicate effectively by translating to and from English at a command. And so I was very skeptical when this was first brought to me, but I've actually watched this in person and it works. Somebody just walks up, speaks a bad dialect of Russian, and Axon picked it up. And they challenged somebody to speak very bad Spanish, and it picked it up. And so I think it's going to be very useful for us moving forward. That being said, I would ask that this work session count as a first touch for the contract, just because I'm on a crunch timeline. I'm still trying to, I'm not asking you to cut short. Let's talk about it 3 times. But other than that, I'll stand for any questions as far as what's in front of me.
I have a couple of questions. So you say we have unlimited storage on the video. How long do you have to keep the video as a police safety?
Hey, so that's a great question. So Washington State law developed several years ago a retention schedule. And so that retention schedule is based on the type of the crime. So whatever, and you can basically mirror whatever the statute of limitations is on that crime. So for instance, but with a conviction, was it go down to 5 after appeal? So you have the appeal period, and then you have 5 years after that, and then the video can go away. So every crime has after they're convicted or they plead guilty, there's a time frame baked into Washington State law that they have a time for appeal. But once that time lapses, then you can get rid of the evidence, to include the body cam video. Normal videos, let's say it's just a traffic stop, no police action other than a ticket written, that is 90 days. It goes away. So Ms. Jessica here did a phenomenal job of setting up those retention schedules in Axon and working with Axon. Initially, we've tweaked them over the years. Ms. Kari's taken that role on to match, and every year when there's an update to the Washington State retention schedule, Ms. Kari is on top of it, and she's making sure that our retention schedule in Axon meets the retention schedule in state law. So to answer short answer to your question, depends on what the video is of and how long. So like just a traffic stop with no police action, that's going to be 30 days. That it was just each officer has to go in and label what it is to set the retention schedule, and then there are alarms. This is why I love Axon. There's no way you can slack. because there's alarms. Hey, so-and-so's got three videos that aren't labeled. And we have really strong policy where they have to dock it and label their video at the end of each shift. And then it will give me alerts, and I can go in and address those with the person. So what we've ran into in the past, here's our problems, what we ran into. We didn't at first have unlimited storage, and we were running into some storage issues because, retention schedule, it was just one of those things where we had certain crimes all happening at once. And it went ahead, it wasn't that much more money, because the more people have signed on to Axon, the cheaper it's gotten as far as the storage goes.
Where are those stored at?
That would be in a server in Texas and Arizona, where Axon's facilities are, not on site.
So you have to contact them?
No, so Ms. Kari has a portal,
Oh,
and Ms. Kari has full access, so I don't even have full access. One person is the gatekeeper, much like traditional evidence. Ms. Kari is the gatekeeper of traditional evidence now, it's Ms. Ashley. But there's one person that's responsible for evidence. There's one person responsible for body cam video evidence. And so for me, if I needed a copy of that, I have to request a full copy of that and then there's an audit trail. So. And some agencies share their video with other agencies. I do not. I'm not comfortable with that. I did provide both the city prosecutor and the county prosecutor a portal where we can grant them access and they can log into our system and view our videos and do so that, and it makes charging things a lot easier. So.
thank you.
Yep.
So on your cameras, you said you get 5 sets of cameras, is that?
So every 2 years, they give us a new set of cameras, a new set of docking stations, new cameras, and then we get whenever, and this is not set on any set schedule, but when there's an upgrade to the redaction suite, their algorithm that helps us redact cameras, and what it does is it takes about 5-minute video. I report this for about 45 minutes. But what it does is we can go in there and put parameters in, and it'll get it about 90% redacted. And then Ms. Kari or Ms. Ashley have to go in there and align it, because sometimes the redactions that the algorithm puts is a little off here and those kind of things, because there's privileged information in body cam video that we cannot release to the public, like your DOL information. Somebody's holding a driver's license, we have to block that out. And what the algorithm does, goes in there and creates a square, blocks it out, and then sometimes it's a little off, so they have to drag it over. But it dramatically reduces the time of redaction.
I had a question about your savings here. Was this based on what you're paying now?
Yes. So they did bake in a 3.5% COLA each year of the 10-year contract. But it starts out with what we budgeted for this year. So, because our contract is due in August, and we always make our Axon payment in August, you'll see the big payment come out. And so that first number, year 1, is what we budgeted this year for Axon. So it basically picks up where the old contract left off.
It sounds too good to be true.
Well, I'll be honest, it took us a minute to get there, and I wasn't very friendly with them. I'm not going to lie to you. They approach it. I'll just be candid. They approach these like they're the only game in town. Technology-wise, they are the only game in town. Motorola's 10 years behind them at least. There's a bunch of off-brands, but I know people are very disappointed with them. But I went in there and I go, look, I'm a small town, and I cannot pay what a King County can pay, what a Kent can pay. You have to make I've been a loyal customer. So we went around and around a couple of times. He's like, Chief, what, did I do something wrong? But anyway, that's just, I beat him up pretty good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Item 6, audience participation. city council encourage public participation during meetings of the city council and welcome your comments. This time is set aside for you to speak to city council on any issue. The council ordinarily takes non-agenda matters under advisement before taking action. You are also invited to comment on action items as they are considered during the meeting. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each in addressing the city council. When addressing the council, please speak clearly, audibly, state your name and address for the records. Anybody online? Nobody in the audience?